Welcome to Bangers and Smash. In this episode we go back in time and take a look at some pictures that I took in Istanbul during 2013 using my Leica M4-P. Think of it a little bit like going around a friend's house and then they pull out their holiday pictures that you really don't want to see. Hopefully the pictures aren't that boring though, so without further ado, let's roll the titles.
The virus seems to be making people uncontrollably violent, and also somehow seems to be reanimating the dead.
So like I said in the introduction, all of these pictures were taken on my Leica M4-P, which I made a video about in a previous video. At the time, I was mostly using a Voightlander Ultron 28mm 2.0 lens, and I'm pretty sure all of the pictures were taken with that lens. Film-wise, I was using Kentmere 400, rated at 800. There might be some pictures where I actually used Ilford HP5, but I just really can't be bothered going through all of the negatives and working out which is which. Like I said in the introduction, these pictures were taken in 2013. They're not anything particularly special. They were taken over 2 weekends, separated by about 6 months. So 6 days shooting in total. And I'm a firm believer that you need to spend a lot of time somewhere to really build up a good body of work that you can then edit down into a good selection of images. If you'd like to see some good images, I'd recommend taking a look at Eskanazi's Black Garden. The second book I recommend that you take a look at is Kirk's Katil, all black and white images, all taken in Turkey. Some really strong work. You flick the pages and every single picture is a good one. There you go. I managed to recommend some books about Turkey without mentioning Alex Webb. So I'm just going to run through some of these pictures, maybe talk about a couple of them. I'm not going to talk about the political situation in Turkey at the time. I'm not going to try and put some overall narrative on this. I'm just going to go through some pictures. So here we go. First picture. Yeah, I'm in Turkey. I was on holiday. So there you go. A picture of the mosque and the bridge. Standard holiday picture. So this picture was actually one of the first pictures I took after the touristy stuff. It's at Taksim Square. This is not a good picture. You can see at the bottom there's 2 photographers trying to take the same picture, and it kind of reminds me of that saying, if your pictures aren't good enough, you're not getting close enough. And there's got to be a good picture in there somewhere. You can see all of this smoke is actually water vapor from a water cannon. So this is a picture of a girl who's covering her face because there's tear gas in the air everywhere. I won't talk over all of these pictures. I'll let some of them just roll by and just stop where there's maybe something interesting to add to the picture. So again, another case of being way too far away from the action to get a good picture. This is people running away from tear gas being fired by the police into crowds of protesters. So I just like this picture, the 2 girls with the gas masks on, contrasted by their t-shirts, butterflies and flowers. Again, it could have been framed better, but I still like it. So the next 2 images are not good images, but there is a story behind them. We were taking pictures of tear gas being fired into the crowd, what you can see here. And here's a tip. If you see tear gas being fired into a crowd, don't just take pictures, get out the bloody way and run. Not a nice experience. Don't recommend tear gas. Not good. No. This is one of my favourite pictures from the set. The image on YouTube, it probably doesn't do it much justice, but it's 3 girls laying on top of a building that was about to be demolished. Not that day, obviously. and then the crowds in Taksim Square below with a Turkish flag, and you can see over the Bosphorus. This is a bit more of a documentary type picture of somebody sitting in a smashed up bus that was being used to block the roads. Again, a difficult image to actually do on a rangefinder. I took 3 pictures in total. This is the only one that came out, whereas on a SLR, you could have just done it once and then moved on. Rangefinders aren't always the best camera. This was taken from a hotel where we was having a cup of coffee, and you can see the buses were used by protesters to block the streets so that the police couldn't get into the square. I like the way that the water cannon and tear gas working with the light just look kind of weird and nice. It's bizarre. The police were actually chasing protesters that ran into an international hotel, and the police started shooting tear gas into the hotel. A bit of a weird situation, that one. Again, this image doesn't fit in with the rest of them, but when you're doing a bit of street photography and documentary, you see somebody with a cool moustache, you have to take that picture. So this image really didn't work out the way I had hoped. I thought I was being clever with the 2 sets of people talking to each other in the windows. In reality, it's a bit crappy, to be honest. And finally, there's a picture of a cat, because every photographer needs to photograph a cat sitting on a car. So there you go, using my Leica M4-P rather than just talking about it. This was back in 2013. I would love to go back to Istanbul. It's an amazing city, not just photographically, but just in general. It's one of those places that's very different to what you expect it to be, but in a very good way. So although I didn't get to spend too much time in Istanbul, I'm actually quite happy with the amount of half decent pictures that I managed to get. Okay, none of them are going to set the world on fire, but there's some decent images in there, I think. So yeah, what more can I say? You've had a look through my holiday snaps. I could ramble on for hours and hours and hours and bore you to death. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos like this, give it a like, leave me a comment down below. If not, you know what to do. Go away.
Report suspicious activities and call 911 for immediate response. Expect delays, searches of personal property, and restricted access to public buildings. Expect traffic delays and restrictions. Take personal security precautions to avoid becoming a victim of an attack. Avoid crowded public areas and gatherings. Do not travel into areas affected by the attack or in a known area of elevated virus activity.